When the nation is on fire, you can count on the Constitution and the states it serves. The wisdom of the Founding Fathers came not from within, but from the Creator Himself. We are here today to seek His wisdom and His guidance in restoring the freedoms He granted to all of us. Join us today in the battle for your faith, your family, and your future. This is the truth.
Well, hello and welcome to a current live version of The Truth. I'm John Williams.
And I'm Steve Hopkins. And of course, this is the unbridled, unfiltered, everything else altered.
No holds barred.
No holds barred truth. We're going to go Jackie Fargo up in here.
That's right, Steve.
So, yeah. Gosh, John, I tell you, this has been a crazy week.
It has, and I want to tell our viewers, so what we've kind of decided to do, we're making things up as we go. And by the way, we have a new background. That's the first time our viewers will see that.
Got the banner, and soon we will have our own studio.
Our own studio, that's right. So we're filming, pre-recording our episodes so that the content can be edited and then uploaded to YouTube and shared. But we decided that we're going to start going live periodically when we have current events and things that we feel like need addressed or talked about instantly. And so that's kind of what this is. We don't really have an agenda. It's just a week in review, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And what a week it has been, Steve.
Absolutely. Hey, if y'all are watching, say hello or do a thumbs up or something in the comments. We're watching the comments to see who all's on. And help share this so we can get some more people on. We're going to talk about some things that, we're passionate about. We're going to answer some questions. We can kind of go from there for a little while. Not long. My stomach's growling.
There you go. That's right. And in fact, we're having a little bit of a problem with seeing current viewers and comments. So I'm going to, Steve, if you want to go, I'm going to log in and try to, here we go. So we can be watching the episode ourselves. So that we can see who all is things that we feel we don't need to do that.
Feedback. Feedback.
Just better not do that.
All right. So we did have a couple of questions that people did send in that, we wanted to talk about some of the things that we had talked about earlier, but let's attack first what's going on in Memphis, the whole Eliza Fletcher. And then you had the guy that was going around shooting people. And then you had some more guys that were threatening to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think they got finally arrested those. Oh, look, we're finally getting the comments up. So, yeah, it's been a crazy week in Memphis. And a lot of people are concerned. They're worried. And I'm going to tell you, I've got tickets to a show at the Orpheum Sunday night that we bought several months ago. And I'm thinking, gosh, I would normally not even question going to the Orpheum to see a show, but it concerns me.
Right.
And I'm a big burly guy that knows how to defend myself. So, if I'm concerned and I'm worried, I know other people are too.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I mean, people have to stay vigilant because, a lot of people in the DeSoto County area and wherever you're watching this from, you probably live near a larger city. You've got to be vigilant because we live in different times. And it's because of the attack on Christianity. Because, John, we talked about this earlier. If we had more people that were witnessing and bringing people to God, we wouldn't have nearly as many of these issues. So we've got to be able to do that. But we've also got to be prepared to defend ourselves if it presents itself.
That's right, Steve. I heard saw an interesting post this week. Someone was asking the question, would you be willing to pay $400 or $500 more per year on your property taxes to be able to hire more law enforcement? Now, that on the surface seems like a logical and great thing to do, right? We want more policemen. But it's not. And here's why. It's a couple of things. First of all, the people that support that idea are supporting a Marxist idea, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah, we've been slow baked into America into accepting things that are not conservative. We're trying to protect the way of life that our founders put in place for us, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, we've been slow baked into believing, well, a lot of these things are okay, but they're not because they're, core functions of government. Yes, John, policing is a core function of government.
Protecting our private property
You
and
know,
our lives. Yeah, sure.
Fire protection,
Right.
EMTs, all this stuff, core functions of government. Okay. Now, what we've done is we've said, well, you know what? We need to use taxpayer dollars for this and this and this and this.
Mhm,
Things that are not core functions of government, like hobbies.
mhm. Horse arenas and ball fields and,
Yeah, all
all that
this
stuff.
stuff, which was done privately when I was growing up as a
Mhm,
kid.
right.
So, but here's the thing: if you put all that money, if it was a requirement that you first fund the core functions of government, you wouldn't have money problems.
Right.
You wouldn't have to
You
raise taxes. You
you
could actually lower
Yeah,
taxes.
and you'd have plenty of money to fully fund law
Yeah,
enforcement as it needs to be. You don't need to pay $500 more a year in property tax.
right,
You need to get rid of the crap that government has gotten involved in, that it's not a core function of government.
right. Property tax should be illegal anyway. How
Uh,
do you ever own land if you're paying property tax? You're just renting property from the government.
From the government. That's right. And that's what I'm
So,
saying. That's supporting a Marxist idea that unintentionally, and I think people don't realize that. And here's the other problem, Steve. I don't know how many uniformed officers are in Memphis. All right. But let's say they had 5 times as many as they have right now.
mhm,
Let me ask you this. Would that have stopped those two evil men from doing what they did?
not at all.
Hiring more police officers might decrease your response time. And as such, it might allow police to respond faster, and that faster response may, in some cases, save some lives. But the problem is hiring more officers is just creating a larger police state than we already have,
Right.
and it doesn't do anything to address the problem. And the problem is evil.
Which you could have all the police in the world, but if you've got a Democrat run city whose district attorney is going to let them out as soon as they get arrested, so that the police has to go arrest them again,
All right.
what's the point?
Yeah.
You've got to have people who are accountable to the laws they are supposed to
Right.
enforce.
That's right.
And so it goes back. Yes, we need competent, strong law enforcement, but we've got to have people in the district attorney's office in the positions of power who are passing laws and ordinances and things that will enforce those laws
Yeah.
and back up the police.
Swift and severe justice.
Yes.
And then while you're dealing with the issue of evil and how to fix that, you've got to have strong, stout laws. You've got to back the law
Mhm.
enforcement up. You've got to have the DAs that will prosecute them. But then
Right.
ultimately, Steve, you have to capture from the moment they're born. We've got to change the way we raise our children in America.
Yeah.
And in short, if we don't get back to the absolute moral truths of most religions, not just Christianity, but most religions believe have a basis in being good, moral, ethical human beings.
Right.
And we've lost that.
And let me just tell y'all something right now. There's no such thing as a silent majority.
That's right.
If Christians don't start getting political, you're not going to be able to get spiritual. There's no more silent. You have to come out of that. You have to be willing to take a stand
Yeah.
and quit letting people demonize Christianity, because Christianity, like it or not, John has said on more than one occasion, is the basis of the foundation of this country. And people should be
Mhm.
glad of that, because without a moral civilization, you don't have laws. Okay.
You have no
You-
incentive to abide by those any laws.
Yes, that Christianity is basically the only roadblock that keeps us from going into barbarism.
That's right. That's right. Because that's the goal of Marxism. And maybe we need to spend some time explaining to people that Marxism is the greatest threat that we face in America. Because the goal of Marxism is not only a threat to Christianity, but it's a threat to all peaceful religions, because
That's
the
right.
goal of Marxism is to tear down any power, any higher power, and replace it with the government. The government is that higher power, and that is what that we're seeing, this cultural Marxism that has slowly and very discreetly slipped its way into the American theology within our church. That is the goal: is to tear the church down,
Right.
to tear it apart, to get rid of all references of to any deity or God.
Yeah, you've got to remove God. If you want to destroy the country that we have, you've got to first remove God, because that's the basis. That's the foundation.
Right.
So that's why the attack is on Christians as a whole,
Mhm.
because that's how you tear it down. That's how you say, oh, there's no law but our law,
Mhm.
which is going to be just Katie bar the door. Everything's, wild, wild west. It'll make it look tame.
Yeah, and Marxism does not tolerate competition. All right. So,
Mhm.
and we've seen this in, like, for example, Roe versus Wade. When they don't get their way, they're not tolerant of other people's views. It's either view life through our set of lenses, our view,
Mhm.
and they're trying to claim that white Christian nationalists are fascist, but yet the fascist ones are the ones that are pushing their agenda down everyone else's throat. So
Yeah, I
it,
mean,
the bottom line,
proud of
Steve.
the United States of America. That's a bad thing.
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
I mean, Steve, yesterday we had a beheading in public in
I know.
California. I mean,
It's-
and here's the thing: the Americans. This is what really irritates me. If you go, I have spent some time in Central America doing missionary work, and if you leave America and you go to other countries, a lot of people around the world think Americans are conceited, arrogant, group of people, and we kind of are, because if you think about it, we think, oh well, that barbarism, that barbaric ways of those Taliban and those Muslims over in Afghanistan and things you hear people say. Folks, it's happening in America. We
Right.
are not any better than anywhere else. And America is going to be targeted more than anybody because we're the crown jewel. If they can tear America down, they can conquer the world.
I'd love to see a report on the murder rate of our inner cities versus Afghanistan or Iraq or that kind of thing.
Well, I can tell you this: that back when we were in Iraq in the War on Terror, there was one particular weekend I was looking at the number of murders in Chicago, and I think it was Labor Day weekend. And that same weekend, we had about the same number of troops in Iraq as the inner city of Chicago. And there was like 27 murders or something that weekend in Chicago, and there was like 5 deaths in a war zone in the U.S. military, and 3 of them were soldiers that got drunk and flipped their Humvee.
Right.
So you were safer in a war zone in Iraq than you were in Chicago.
Yeah. Let me say hey to Eddie who's watching, and Steve Roberts and Lindsay. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We are live and going to be talking to you. There's our mascot.
Yeah.
There's our
The puppy
mascot.
dogs.
Yeah. Cash is our truth podcast.
Oh, that's Lulu.
That's Lulu. Okay. All right. She finally came in here.
Making
So,
an
yeah.
appearance.
But all this stuff going on, Christians have to take a stand like never before.
That's
We
right.
we have to stop living in the shadows. We have to come out. We have to be brave. We have to be bold. We have to quit letting a talking point push us into a corner because we're afraid of being called a name.
Right.
You got to stand loud and proud and be willing to do whatever it takes to protect our country. Now they'll spin that, won't they, John?
Oh yeah, and that's
They'll
fine.
spin that.
I would rather be labeled a white Christian nationalist, racist, or whatever they want to call me, which I'm none of those. I'm just a proud American. But I'd rather be labeled that and alive than a news statistic or news story or a statistic and be dead. I don't care what they label me as.
Hey, listen, I'm proud of the United States of America.
Absolutely.
So if that's what you define as a nationalist, I'll take it.
Yeah, whatever.
Christian, you are right. First and foremost over everything. So I'll wear those labels proudly.
But they try to label us. One thing that misconception is they try to say that we are intolerant for get with other religions. So we're
Mm,
religious bigots. And Steve, that's not the case. I will fight
no,
and die for my Muslim neighbor for his right to worship his God as he defines it. I'm not trying to make anybody be a Christian,
right,
but I am a proud American. I am a proud
right.
Christian, and I absolutely believe in everyone's right to worship the way they do. And so there's just a false narrative. I mean, it's permeated our society, and
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
I mean, Christianity, um, people should be glad that we were founded on a Christian belief system because that Christian belief system is what paved the way for everybody to be able to worship how they see fit and to keep government out of it. That's what
Right.
it's supposed to. Government's not supposed to be involved.
Right.
You
That's
know,
and that's what Marxism is trying to take down. So, Steve, we always like to. I said when we started this podcast, I don't want to be a podcast where we have two talking heads that just sit up there and whine and complain the whole time.
right?
I want to be a podcast that gives people action steps, practical things that they can do. So, based on this subject of Marxism and this crime wave in America, along those lines, what can our viewers do? What are some action steps and things that they can do right now to make a difference in their community and protect themselves?
Well, number one, make sure you're registered to vote. First and foremost, go to church.
Mm,
Be willing to share your faith with a person on a moment's notice. You may share Jesus with somebody and turn that person around that might have been somebody that would have been a killer one day. You never
that's right.
know. Don't shy away from being used by God for things like that. Get involved. Listen, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go over there and subscribe to it and like our videos and help share the word because like I said, we're going to bring just the hardcore truth to people, tell people what they need to know. So watch our videos. We did a great video last week, or was that week before last, with the websites and the links
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. That is, you guys, you need to go watch that
That's
video.
episode 5.
Yeah.
Uh,
You need to go watch that video and bookmark all those websites. That's information you've got to have. And we're going to do more um, podcasts on that, on explaining
mhm,
in depth some of these things and what to
yeah,
look for. Because people, will reach out to me all the time and they say, "Hey, where I find this? Hey, listen, I've got this problem. What do I do?"
right.
And so it's pretty much the foundation is right there in that video that we did. And hey, Rob, hey man, it's good to see you. Jamie,
Yeah.
Patricia, Dave, Al, Big Al's on there,
Oh
man.
yeah, Big Al's part of our Pancakes with
Yeah.
Patriots
Listen, man,
group on Friday morning.
I have to tell you some stories about me and Al back in the day,
Oh, Al, you might be in
back in
trouble.
high school, and everything. Can't tell them stories on air,
Yeah.
but so I've known Al for a long time.
Well, Steve, if there's one thing that I want to encourage people with right now, there are a lot of people hurting
Yeah.
right now, and I made a post about this on Facebook this week. Sometimes, no matter how strong our faith is, sometimes life throws us a curveball, throws us things that are just bigger than we feel like we can handle, and a
Oh yeah.
person who is normally a prayer warrior may be hurting so bad that they just don't have the strength to muster a prayer. And so I want to encourage our viewers, if you are a God fearing and praying person, pray for people that you don't know. There's a lot of folks hurting right now, and
Yeah.
intercede and petition the Lord on their behalf.
And I try to make it a point, and I do. If I see somebody post something on Facebook about needing prayer, I will
Yeah,
stop right then
absolutely.
and pray, and then I'll you know try to let them know that I did in fact pray for you. But
Right.
Joy Payne Dixon, a lot of
Yeah.
y'all might be friends with her. I'm gonna make a special request that everybody keep her in your prayers.
Absolutely.
Joy is somebody that I have loved for a long time. She's a warrior.
Mhm.
She's a Christian warrior. She's not afraid to speak her mind, and
Dynamite
uh,
comes in small packages.
yes, and she, um, gosh, I can't because I'm gonna get emotional, but she's
She's
fighting cancer,
yeah.
and we just, we just come to the Lord and ask for complete healing because this is somebody that um, would be greatly missed, and we need her healed and to be here with us for
That's
a
right.
lot longer. So
That's
pray for
absolutely right.
people. Um, I'll tell you another YouTube channel I want to tell you about. It's called Bible 365. And it's the chronological Bible and it's dramatized. And I've told a bunch of people about this.
Yep. You told me about it.
And
I've been watching it,
yeah,
and it's
and
really neat.
yeah,
It's
I'm going around for the second time. And Genesis was really coming to life. So I've gone through that. And I will tell you something with this played out the way it's played out, you will learn stuff about the Bible that you won't learn probably reading. Well, at least my slow mind
well, and
anyway.
what's neat, so they have famous actors or voice actors that read the sections of the Bible and play the characters of the Bible, and it's some big names like Gary Sinise, and I mean, it's not just folks you've never heard
Right.
of, and it brings a different element to the Bible. So when God's talking to Adam, for example, it's got God's voice, and then when Adam responds, you've got Adam's voice or
Yeah.
Noah's voice or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
really, folks. I've listened to Genesis and Exodus so far. I highly recommend it. Steve
It's
told me
awesome.
about it, and yes, Stephanie and I have listened to it several hours already.
It's awesome. And you hadn't got to the New Testament yet, but
Yeah,
it's awesome because I recognize these voices as they come up.
yeah,
But the guy in one of the guys in Ghostbusters is actually the voice of Peter.
yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, you know, wait a minute, we ain't afraid of no ghost. So, but
Right.
it really brings it to life when you hear it done like that.
Narrated, yeah, and that
And
the
and Gary Sinise I I found out going back around the second time, Gary Sinise actually is Moses,
yeah.
but then he's David.
And he's David, Moses and David. Yeah. Well,
So
there's
he
enough
just
gap between
yeah,
there.
does
That
his
you,
voice
and
wrong.
the other thing is, it does it in chronological order. So you mentioned David, for
Exactly.
example. So when David is running from Saul and Saul is pursuing David and trying to
Yeah.
kill David, David's hiding in these caves. And in one of those nights, he wrote Psalm 23.
Yes.
And so you're reading the narration of that story and then followed by what David wrote while that was going on in his life.
Right.
And it just really brings a new,
Right.
I don't know the
So
word to describe it, but it's
as it happens,
yeah,
that's chronological. So as it happened, it goes in order. So especially when you get to the New Testament, you may have stories of Jesus, they're right there together. But it shows, and that helps because it
it
shows
does.
you the different authors who have the same story.
Right.
I mean, I love it. I'm
Yeah, because
sorry,
the
y'all.
Bible is divided into sections by the
Yeah,
prophet, the major prophets, the minor prophets,
yeah,
and so it's not in chronological order. But what he's telling you about, it's read by those voice actors in chronological order, and
yeah.
it's really neat. So what it's go to YouTube and search for
Bible
Bible
365.
365
Yeah,
and look for the dramatized
yeah.
Bible.
Hey, Janet Simpson, tell your husband I said hey. Hey to you, Charles. So where's he at? He hadn't commented. Tell him to get on here and listen.
There you go. So
That's some more of my high school mates.
we wanted to just hop on here and just say hi and address some of the current events and talk about some things. But ultimately, the big episodes, we just had a fantastic one we recorded
wow.
earlier that
We
I don't want to let the cat
wow.
out of the bag, but it's probably going to be the best episode
It was
we've
the best episode
we've
that
done
we
yet.
recorded.
A very special
And
guest.
you
I
know,
don't want
well,
to
you know why? Because we let him talk.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. We let him talk
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
It's
There you
like
go.
it's okay. Oh, okay. So we just got to have good guests.
Yeah,
And
right.
shut up.
So yeah, that's right. Good guest and ask a question and shut up. Go
Yeah.
drink coffee and come back.
Hey, Tissy.
But we'll
Yeah.
send it over to Rob and have him do his magic and get that uploaded and shared with you guys next week.
Right. Uh, if and back to prayer for just a second. If you today, sometime today, stop and pray for our country. Stop and pray for a movement of the Holy Spirit, especially into our inner cities, that Jesus' name would be proclaimed loudly, because that's the best way to change the world, change our country, is for more people.
We don't need more property taxes. We need more Jesus.
We need more Jesus.
I had a quote on I'll put it on Facebook, a post this week. I said, throwing more money into the education system will not fix the education system. Throwing more money into law enforcement will not fix crime in America. Throwing ourselves and our children back into the Word of God will heal this country and change the world.
And you just opened up a can of worms. Education. Yeah. Holy moly. I mean, you see these videos, they're Project Veritas, all they're leaking, all that stuff.
Yeah,
we knew it was out there. We knew it was out there. We knew it was happening. And I'm going to tell you right now, when some of these teachers that are of the progressive persuasion get in those classrooms and close their doors, you may not know what they're saying.
Right.
Folks, you need a couple things. Folks, you need to talk to your children. You need to try to, get them to tell you exactly what's being taught. And you need to talk to your children about what's important. What's important, values, morals, your Christian faith, the whole 9 yards. You need to talk to your kids.
Bottom line, Steve, it is our responsibility to educate our children or to be responsible for their education. And we cannot take a passive approach to it anymore. Right. We have to be involved.
And listen, we need, guys, please listen. We need some parents to run for school board. We need some strong parents, Christian parents, to run for school board that will take a stand. Now, listen, too many of these school boards are just rubber stamping whatever the Mississippi Department of Education wants. No, doesn't work like that. One of two things needs to happen. We need to elect parents who will make decisions based on the children. Or you need to pull your children out of public schools.
Right.
Period. This country,
government schools, not public school. Government schools. Because that's what they are.
This country has never more needed than now school choice. Arizona passed a law, John's perfect law. The money can follow the child.
Yep. You pay your property taxes, you're paying for your education. You can get educated wherever you choose to get educated, and that money's got to go with you.
Right. So the parent should be in charge. If you listen, that's Marxism.
Yeah.
If you can't use the money that's allocated for that child to put them in a school of your choice, you are in a Marxist system.
That's right.
You are being told and you're complying.
Or just get rid of the government funded school system and quit charging the property taxes and let us take our money elsewhere. But
but that money is allocated. You don't have Rona, do you?
No, all right, just check. Itchy throat.
Oh, say longer.
I need to drink some
But anyway,
water.
So the money should follow the child.
Absolutely.
100%. It's allocated for that child's education. Now, the education elite will tell you, no, that's our money.
And that's Marxism at its best. People, we've got to learn to recognize Marxism when we see it.
Folks, stop. Take a stand against that narrative that says, oh, that's tax revenue. That's government money.
No, that's my money.
It's our money. It's your money. Don't be afraid to say, what am I paying you for?
I'm not paying you anymore to indoctrinate my children with in belief systems that don't line up with my belief system.
And this is the truth, John. This is the Truth Podcast, and we will tell the truth. So let me come back at you with the alternate of that. Don't you go down to some classroom and start giving a teacher grief, and you're not even training up your children in your own home.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're lacking doing your job, as a parent in that home and you aren't bringing them up in the way they should go, you don't have any right to go down and throw stones at a teacher.
That's exactly right. Take
Don't,
some
don't
responsibility
even
and
get me
accountability.
started.
Yep. No,
Because
I
if
agree.
more was being done in the home,
we wouldn't even be talking about this
No,
issue
no.
if the homes were.
not at all.
Yeah. We wouldn't be talking about Liza Fletcher and a random shooting spree if the homes in America were lined up the way that they should be in teaching their children, raising their children in the belief systems that they should.
I need a pointer stick. Look what Al just said.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Having
Okay.
a DC school board issue now and can't get a return phone call. Very frustrating.
Well, Al, you need to call me when you get done.
Yeah.
We'll help
We'll
you
call them out.
expose it. Yep. I have no problem calling them out.
If you've got elected officials, I don't care where they are, and they won't return your call or return your email, call us. We'll call them out online.
And Steve, I'm glad you said that. When it comes to elected officials, people, so a lot of people say, well, everybody call their senator, call their representative to tell them to vote this way or vote that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's an effective tool. All right. Politicians do not like angry voters. But here's what you need to ask yourself when evaluating your school board members or your mayor or your alderman or your state legislatures. If you have to lobby your legislators, Steve, to get them to vote the right way, you need to replace that legislator.
Amen.
If you don't know that they're going to vote, if you have to convince them and email them and call them and hassle them to make the right decision, then you need to find somebody else. You need to raise up candidates from within your community and have them run for school boards or whatever positions that.
And I gotta tell you, because most all of I'm still state representative at least for another year.
Right.
So, but the 7 years that I've been in, I've learned how the system operates, and I'm going to tell you, things will not change until we start electing new people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we need 100% turnover.
Let me just tell you, people have gotten comfortable down there. They've sold out. They've gotten addicted to the power and the prestige and all that kind of stuff. Peter said, 2 Peter 19, for whatever overcomes a person, to that he is enslaved.
Yeah.
So they've been overcome with this need for power.
Yep.
The money, the prestige that comes with it. And they forget that they are supposed to be a servant.
Right.
Not a master.
That's right.
A servant
of
the people that elected them. And all of this goes to their head, and they want to keep that. So leadership now has them enslaved and can force them to vote however they want to vote. Do not vote for these people.
Mm-mm.
Vote for people who are going to vote how you want them to vote. I've told people before, and I actually had Carol, I won't say her last name, over in Greenbrook. She actually did this, and I got so tickled. When these people come to your door, ask them, will you ever vote to raise my taxes? And she did. She did. She asked a guy that, and he started hawing and making excuses and everything. I said,
his lips.
That's not your guy. That's not your guy. Because if somebody's coming to your door and they're saying that I'm going to run as a Republican,
right?
And they're thinking, well, we just had a whole group of new aldermen get elected all over the place, and same aldermen who voted for all these local taxes.
Steve, we're having record revenue. Every municipality in our county has broken every record for revenue there is. And all 4 of the municipalities in our county have either already or are trying to raise your taxes this year.
Yeah.
With record revenue.
Until they start being good stewards of the money they've got, you should not give them the authority to raise taxes at all. And these people, listen, everybody in South Haven needs to be voted out.
I agree.
All of them.
I agree. I've not seen a single alderman in DeSoto County that voted no to these property tax increase. I mean, to these tax increases. And as far as I'm concerned, they all need to go. Every one of them.
I'm just telling you, in the biggest recession in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gas prices, oh, they've come down a little. That's the talking narrative now. Gas prices through the roof. You know, recession. You go buy a thing of ice cream. Remember me telling you about that?
$10 for Bluebell. I
$10
can't
for
even eat
Bluebell
Bluebell
ice
anymore,
cream.
which might save my life, but I like Bluebell.
Yeah. Love me some ice cream. You don't love me, but you know, anyway.
But I'm not paying $10 for it.
No. But here's the thing. You have to manage your budget, but you can make government manage theirs. If they don't, and their automatic response to anything and everything is raise taxes, that's not your guy. Vote them out.
That's right.
We have seen. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Thanks. He telepathy. He told me. John talked about record revenues, and I hate that word, but I'm just going to keep using it because I hadn't come up with something better. It's theft, is what it is.
Record theft.
Yeah, record theft. So the reason we have record revenue in Mississippi is mainly because of the internet sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's happened since I've been in office.
Right.
You know, a politician that doesn't live too far from here saw that into being. But so they're collecting all this.
They're collecting sales tax on every penny we spend.
Every penny you spend. Now, I know that most of you remember when you know, we used to buy stuff from Amazon, everywhere else. There was no sales tax. Okay. Well, because of the passage and the Supreme Court saying that they could do that, everybody's collecting sales tax. So everything you buy online, you're getting taxed for, is going to the state of Mississippi, going whatever state you live in. Okay. So there are record amounts of money coming in to the coffers.
Mm-hmm.
But the cities will turn around and want to raise taxes. I don't get it. Another point. You know, and listen, I'm just going to call it like it is. I call it an idiot representative. And he's a freaking idiot. I'm sorry, lose my Christianity here. He actually came to me and said, well, so-and-so city, they don't have any money. I'm like, did you fall on your head too much or what? You know, did you bump your head on something? That's the most stupid statement. Like I caught myself.
What?
Stupid statement I've ever heard. Yeah. We're setting records. These cities are setting records for money and just in sales taxes being brought in.
That's right.
Now, 18% of the 7% sales tax, 18% might be 18.5, comes back to the cities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all of that money, local taxes like 2% restaurant tax, all that, that's not 100%. Property tax. That's not they get property tax. They get 18% of that 7% tax comes back to them. You know, car tax. See, a lot of people don't know ad valorem taxes. Half of that car tag in DeSoto County, y'all look it up what it is in your county. Half of the money for that car tag, which is outrageous, goes to public schools. The other half goes to the city.
Yeah. Well, and then look at your utility bill. Look at your Comcast bill, your Atmos, your energy bill. The taxes are just ridiculous. I mean, it's. I'm going to do a podcast on that. I'm going to take my budget, Steve, and I'm going to go through every penny because I'm going to count it, and I've got it everything that accounted for. I'm going to go back and look at every bill that I paid last year. And I'm going to detail every single tax, income tax, sales tax, ad valorem, all of them. And I'm going to see just exactly how much as a percentage of my income, total tax I paid last year. I know it's over 50%, probably about 60, 65%.
That would be something good to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Look what Johnny Adams wrote.
Small shout out to all my Patriot breakfast friends at Taco Felix. There you go.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well,
he's rubbing it in
that he doesn't have to work on Friday morning.
Yeah, he's rubbing it in. I have to be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can't come to breakfast.
That's
It's
right.
just Johnny rubbing it in. Hey, Steve, we have a good time. Steve,
Yeah.
we sure do miss
Hey,
you.
we
Steve.
had a big crowd this last week. We had we had tables strung together that spanned the entire patio width of Taco Felix. Our group is growing.
That's right. That's right. And if I ever get off on a Friday, I'm going to come. I really am.
Yeah.
So tired of Johnny rubbing it in. So, but yeah, hey, Jason. Hey, Sherry. Hey, everybody else that I hadn't said hey to. Yeah, Jason said Lander Center.
Oh, don't even get me. We could do an episode alone.
We could
just
do
on
a
that.
whole episode.
Look, I think Dana Criswell has this. We need to do this. So recently they wanted to do an expansion of the Lander Center, and they came out. They hired this company, paid them $100,000. I can't remember how much they paid them to do this feasibility study, and they came out with their results, and it was going to have a $200-something million impact, on the environment. Well, I remember 22 years ago when they came out with that same feasibility study of the Lander Center.
Mhm.
And because I have knowledge of this, I want to go back from the day the Lander Center was finished and look at what it actually contributed and what it did in revenue compared to that feasibility study.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not.
We got a lot to look into.
It is not 10% of what the feasibility study said it was going to do.
Well, I'll tell you another one is everybody goes, oh, Snowden Grove, look what the Dizzy Dean brings into the city. Did you know that you're paying almost $400,000 city South Haven residents? Did you know that $400,000 of your money pays Dizzy Dean just to have that tournament? Now the businesses are making some money,
right? But the facility itself's losing money.
Yeah, losing money now. But they'll tell you, oh, it keeps property taxes low. That's the biggest bunch of hogwash.
It keeps Marxist government, big government, Marxist ideals going is what it does.
But there's so much. These local taxes, here's the thing. If I had my way, I'd eliminate all of them. And what I would do is raise because Jackson's a problem too. Don't get me wrong. I would raise the amount from 18% to 25% that the cities would get
back from the sales tax.
From the sales tax.
And go to more of a consumption-based
right.
tax.
Go straight out consumption-based, or raise the amount that's actually, because my gosh, that's where the people live that are buying this stuff. But eliminate all these
all the non-core functions of government,
right.
All the things we've gotten involved in that are not part of what government should do.
Because the citizens of DeSoto County right now are funding the Lander Center. The Lander Center does not have to make a dime, not a penny. They do not, okay? Because you are funding it. They can lose as much money as they need to lose. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You're propping them up. It cost $30 million in 1999 to build that thing. It should have been paid for many times over.
And we still got another 30 years to go.
And millions of your dollars comes in every year. It goes straight to the Lander Center.
Yeah.
And an unelected board is over how that money gets spent. Kind of like the Region Smart.
Just like Region Smart.
Yeah, just like Region.
No incentive to try to.
And I told John,
Region Smart's not dead. I can tell you, I knew when this happened, they are going to come back, folks. They are going to try to give eminent domain authority to a non-governmental agency. And if the days of Region Smart, we need to educate everybody on that and their involvement with BlackRock. And all these mayors in DeSoto County are supporting it.
Yeah. Oh,
and it is just
have paid money.
Yeah.
To Region Smart, and we've got people all over the place, that are our little spies.
We won't
name them. We got people all over the place that are little spies that let us know what's going on and everything. But folks,
we got people in a lot of places that people didn't.
If you haven't seen Dan Bongino's latest video on BlackRock, you need to go look at that. BlackRock, they've venture capitalists. They've got $13 trillion.
One of the largest investment firms in the world. Yeah.
Well, they've got ties, and they fund a company called Urban Land Institute, who partners with Region Smart.
Mm-hmm. And when we'll have to share links and do a video just
Yeah.
on this, but your mayors in DeSoto County, Mississippi, and in
except for Horn Lake,
Yeah.
they're the only ones that opted out.
they are trying to get this tri-state compact together. That is nothing more than just a quasi-governmental bureaucracy to further cram their agenda, funded by your taxpayer dollars, to further cram their leftist Marxist agenda down your throat. And people claiming to be Republican are backing it and supporting
Right.
it. And we've got to learn to recognize these things,
Yeah.
people.
Let me answer Stephanie's question. It's a good question. She says, "Why did Glenn Beck say that the Regent Smart deal died?" That was a bill in this year's session that we've already talked about who sponsored it. I'm going to talk more about it when the time comes on who was pushing it in the House, because this person needs to be voted out too. All right. But what happened was it passed the Senate unanimously, comes to the House. Luckily, we caught it. There was a caller that called in to Glenn Beck's show. I wish I could remember her name. I am sorry if you're listening, but she brought it up, and then we were doing our research, and then next thing you know, I was on Glenn Beck's show. And so because of all that publicity being on Glenn Beck show and Glenn making an all call for people to call the legislature and to email the legislators, we were able to kill that bill in the House.
Right.
Okay. Now that's that bill. That does not keep them from coming back next year
with some
with
twisted
something.
version of
Yeah.
that same bill, but with different verbiage, or trying to hide it, being
Right.
slick in a different way. But it's still,
Yeah, but so y'all need to email David Parker and tell him not to submit anything else Regent Smart in the Senate, because that's who submitted the first bill. And then I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to submit a bill. You know that. Dana Criswell's not going to submit a bill for that. Dan Eubanks is not going to submit a bill for that. That pretty much.
Brady Williams.
Yeah. Huh?
Brady? Did you say Brady?
Oh, well, Brady's in Lafayette, so but he's not going to submit it.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about DeSoto County representation.
Right.
Those are the guys. Me, Dan, Dana will not submit those bills.
Everybody else.
If I did not call their name, you probably need to email them.
Yeah.
And tell them that you don't want an unelected board being able to have that much power just because one mayor decides it's a good thing. One out of control mayor.
I am trying to control. I'm biting my lip.
I'm telling you.
I'll say this: if you don't know the names that he didn't call, and don't know if they might be your representative, go to our YouTube channel, search for the podcast, the Truth Podcast.ms, and go look at episode 5. If you watch episode 5, it has all the links to all the websites where you can find your legislator. So if you're wondering whose name he didn't call that supported Regent Smart, just go look it up. You'll figure it out.
If you need their cell phone number, send me a PM and I'll send it to you so you can call them directly.
That's right. You got to start calling
and tell them that they need to start representing you instead of selling out to the powers that be.
Absolutely.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yep. It doesn't get any more plain spoken than that.
Truth.
And it's the truth. And the truth is not always fun to hear.
Yeah.
It's not always.
It's going to get real next year when I'm out of office.
Yeah. We have some exciting news coming up that our background and our setting is going to be changing soon.
Oh, we're going to have our own studio.
Yeah. We're going to take it from my office at my home to a real professional studio. And so the quality and everything is going to get a lot better going forward.
And Rob, if you're listening, I apologize about last night. My daughter-in-law, I was telling John, my daughter-in-law was in a little fender bender and everything. And
wasn't able to make it.
Yeah. So luckily, her and my grandson okay and everything, but I was just afraid I might rip somebody's head off.
I understand. I get it.
As you mess with my family. Yeah, I am not afraid of jail.
So, well, folks, we appreciate you guys joining us.
Yeah.
Like we said, please go to our YouTube channel, go to YouTube and search for the Truth Podcast.ms. You can find our channel and subscribe to it and like the videos. There's several videos that very useful information. And
if you've got tips too, guys, please send us tips, send us emails, send us private messages. And if you want to help with research, we need help with research big time. Just send us and say you're willing to help, because we've got several different areas we need research and help in. And we appreciate y'all.
We do.
You guys are the patriots. You guys are the 3%. That are taking a stand today to make a difference tomorrow, so that we don't lose this great country. And we just appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. And folks, we've enjoyed being here, and we hope you'll continue to tune in and subscribe to our podcast and get notifications as the episodes are released. And y'all stay safe out there.
That's right.
Amen. Arm yourself, protect yourself. Be prepared. It's not the government's responsibility to sanctify your life. It is yours. You take care of yourself. Oh, Steve's got it. Okay, here. What does this say?
Oh, it's backwards. It says make Orwell fiction again.
Make Orwell
fiction again.
There you go. All right, folks. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Love you guys.